welcome to my channel. Before starting, support the channel by liking this video and subscribing to this channel for future updates. Today we're going to talk about Egyptian pyramids, Egyptian Museum. The Egyptian Museum in Cairo, commonly known as simply the Egyptian Museum, located in Cairo, Egypt, houses the largest collection of Egyptian antiquities in the world. It houses over 120,000 items, with a representative amount on display. Located in a building built in 1901, it is the largest museum in Africa. Among its masterpieces are Pharaoh Tutankhamun's treasure, including its iconic gold burial mask, widely considered one of the best-known works of art in the world and a prominent symbol of ancient Egypt. History. Aerial view 1904 from a balloon where the Egyptian Museum appears to the right side. The Egyptian Museum in the 1950s. The Egyptian Museum of Antiquities contains many important pieces of ancient Egyptian history. It houses the world's largest collection of pharaonic antiquities. The Egyptian government established the museum built in 1835 near the Ezbekî Garden and later moved to the Cairo Citadel. In 1855, Archduke Maximilian of Austria was given all of the artifacts by the Egyptian government. These are now in the Kunsthistorisches Museum, Vienna. A new museum was established at Bulak in 1858 in a former warehouse, following the foundation of the new Antiquities Department under the direction of Auguste Mariette. The building lay on the bank of the Nile River, and in 1878 it suffered significant damage owing to the flooding of the Nile River. In 1891, the collections were moved to a former royal palace in the Giza district of Cairo. They remained there until 1902, when they were moved again to the current museum in Tower Square, built by the Italian company of Giuseppe Garazzo and Francesco Zaffreni, with design by the French architect Marcel Dourdan. In 2004, the museum appointed Wafa El Sadek as the first female director general. During the Egyptian Revolution of 2011, the museum was broken into and 2 mummies were destroyed. Several artifacts were also shown to have been damaged and around 50 objects were stolen. Since then, 25 objects have been found. Those that were restored were put on display in September 2013 in an exhibition entitled Damaged and Restored. Among the displayed artifacts were 2 statues of King Tutankhamun made of cedar wood and covered with gold, a statue of King Akhenaten, a Shapti, statues that belonged to the Nubian kings, a mummy of a child, and a small polychrome glass vase. The museum was reportedly used as a torture site during the 2011 revolution, with protesters forcibly and unlawfully detained and allegedly abused, according to reports, videos, and eyewitness accounts. Activists state that men were being tortured with electric shocks, whips, and wires, and women were tied to fences and trees. Prominent singer and activist Remy Issam was among those detained and tortured at the museum. Also on the ground floor are artifacts from the New Kingdom, the time period between 1550 and 1069 BC. These artifacts are generally larger than items created in earlier centuries. Those items include statues, tables, and coffins. It contains 42 rooms, with many items on view from sarcophagi and boats to enormous statues. On the first floor are artifacts from the final 2 dynasties of Egypt, including items from the tombs of the pharaohs Thutmose II, Thutmose IV, and Menes II, Hatshepsut, and the courtier Myherpri, as well as many artifacts from the Valley of the Kings, in particular the material from the intact tombs of Tutankhamun and Susans. Tombs of early Egyptian kings were bench-shaped mounds called mastabas. Around 2780 BCE, King Djoser's architect Imhotep built the first pyramid by placing 6 mastabas, each smaller than the one beneath, in a stack to form a pyramid rising in steps. This step pyramid stands on the west bank of the Nile River at Saqqara, near Memphis. Like later pyramids, it contains various rooms and passages, including the burial chamber of the king. The transition from the step pyramid to a true, smooth-sided pyramid took place during the reign of King Snefru, founder of the 4th dynasty. At Medum, a step pyramid was built, then filled in with stone and covered with a limestone casing. Nearby at Bashur, construction was begun on a pyramid apparently planned to have smooth sides. About halfway up, however, the angle of incline decreases from over 51 degrees to about 43 degrees, and the sides rise less steeply, causing it to be known as the bent pyramid. The change in angle was probably made during construction to give the building more stability. Another great pyramid was built at Dashur with its sides rising at an angle of somewhat over 43 degrees, resulting in a true, squat-looking pyramid. The largest and most famous of all the pyramids, the Great Pyramid at Giza, was built by Snefru's son Khufu, known also as Cheops, the later Greek form of his name. The pyramid's base covered over 13 acres and its sides rose at an angle of 51 degrees 52 minutes and were over 755 feet long. It originally stood over 481 feet high. Today it is 450 feet high. Scientists estimate that its stone blocks average over 2 tons apiece, with the largest weighing as much as 15 tons each. 2 other major pyramids were built at Giza for Khufu's son, King Khafre, and a successor of Khafre, Menkaure. Also located at Giza is the famous Sphinx, a massive statue of a lion with a human head, carved during the time of Khafre. Pyramids did not stand alone but were part of a group of buildings which included temples, chapels, other tombs, and massive walls. Remnants of funerary boats have also been excavated. The best preserved is at Giza. On the walls of 5th and 6th dynasty pyramids are inscriptions known as the pyramid texts, an important source of information about Egyptian religion. The scarcity of ancient records, however, makes it difficult to be sure of the uses of all the buildings in the pyramid complex or the exact burial procedures. It is thought that the king's body was brought by boat up the Nile to the pyramid site and probably mummified in the Valley Temple before being placed in the pyramid for burial. There has been speculation about pyramid construction. Egyptians had copper tools such as chisels, drills, and saws that may have been used to cut the relatively soft stone. The hard granite used for burial chamber walls and some of the exterior casing would have posed a more difficult problem. Workmen may have used an abrasive powder such as sand with the drills and saws. Knowledge of astronomy was necessary to orient the pyramids to the cardinal points, and water-filled trenches probably were used to level the perimeter. A tomb painting of a colossal statue being moved shows how huge stone blocks were moved on sledges over ground first made slippery by liquid. The blocks were then brought up ramps to their positions in the pyramid. Finally, the outer layer of casing stones was finished from the top down and the ramps dismantled as the work was completed. Most of the stone for the Giza pyramids was quarried on the Giza plateau itself. Some of the limestone casing was brought from Tura, across the Nile, and a few of the rooms were cased with granite from Aswan. Marks of the quarry workers are found on several of the stone blocks, giving names of the work gangs such as Craftsman Gang. Part-time crews of laborers probably supplemented the year-round masons and other skilled workers. The Greek historian Herodotus reported in the 5th century BCE that his Egyptian guides told him 100,000 men were employed for 3 months a year for 20 years to build the Great Pyramid. Modern estimates of the number of laborers tend to be much smaller. Thanks for watching.